So we've got a lot of people coming in, Noel. I think people are excited for this conversation. I'll tee you up the same way I teed you up when we were making a little content earlier, but like, God damn it, I don't know if there's anyone that's more wholesomely, amazingly thoughtful, and genuinely uh, earnest people. And so, it's always great talking with you, brother. Like, I think that we all came up at the same time and started our own agencies, and like everyone was kind of, it was all of the original like Tuesday Triggers people who are now all running very successful agencies of different, types. But you were the one that I think always came in and was like focused, like you were always teetering back. Well, am I an automations agency? Am I an agency? Like, and you were really thoughtfully diving into like helping other people with their automation so you could learn, right? So you
Right.
could like get your feet wet. And like all of us were like, dude, Noel, start charging more money. Like, you are bringing the market down right now because you are like hooking everyone up. You're like, I'll help you. I'll make that for you. And I'm like, dude, start charging more money.
That's
But
funny.
it's gotten you to this amazing point, man, where you've really like niched down. You've really like figured out what makes sense and what doesn't. You've taken a step back and analyzed all of that data now that you've taken it in. And you've created this amazing, system for yourself and for your clients. And so, for the sake of today's call, we're going to spend some time. I want you to talk about the way you look at automations and how people can be incorporating them into their daily lives, right? Whether they're an agency or a business that has built a huge lead gen funnel or a sales team or whatever, I want you to talk from that perspective of how you look at things. And then, of course, obviously, I want you to show some really sexy ass automations as well. But then, like, I think today more than ever, there's probably going to be a lot of questions about, like, hey, has this been made? Have you thought about this? Like, we were talking about a really simple automation, but like we have had it for probably 9 months, but like rarely use it for fear of breaking something. But like the simply removing leads from Smart Lead thing that probably would have saved us 10 grand in the last year if we would actually have used it because, again, don't want to blow anything up. But, anyways, so let's talk about like the way you look at things, show some sexy ass automations, make time for people to chat, and then of course like maybe I can get some more. Maybe what's the oh, this one, unintentional. Um,
Clippable content.
yes, right, yes, absolutely.
Sure.
But why don't you kick
So
it off,
I'll,
bro?
I'll I'll screen share over here to show you guys just a brief overview as to how I'm thinking about all this stuff. So I currently have a 90% automated business, and to just simplify what that means, it's basically doing 100 hours of work in 10 hours, right? And when you define it like that, it's actually much, much, much simpler to find ways to automate 90%, 90 hours of work away than trying to quote unquote automate 90% of your business. And so I'll be going at it from all of these different angles. And so it's like if you're a brand new agency owner focused on learning, I'll be showing how we could think of that, scaling, automating, and all of the different things that I've learned in my own pursuit. I've been running my agency for around a year and a half. Currently have 7 clients, and it genuinely like I'm working five to 10 hours a week, right? And I'll be showing you like how I'm actually doing all of this stuff. And so, if I were to start, I would say like one of the biggest things that I see a lot of agencies making is not understanding which persona they're in. Are you a learner? Are you scaling? Or are you automating? And the unfortunate part is that a lot of agency owners are in that automating phase. And so what that person looks like is someone that's trying to automate everything, but they have a bad business, low pricing, niche clients that are in bad niches, all sorts of different things that they just don't make sense. Like for example, I had a consulting call with someone, and they were trying to get me to automate a business, but the business didn't even exist. And so, like, that's an example of someone trying to automate things without processes. And so, what I would say for someone like that is to actually just start building your SOPs. And so, your normal traditional SOPs, this is what happens, this is what happens next, this is what happens afterwards. And once you have all of those SOPs dialed in, then you can start building automations. And when you're building the automations, you can either do it in house by doing it yourself, hiring someone to do it for you, a developer in house, or you can outsource it to an agency. Either of them are going to work, but what you need to avoid is trying to build automations without an actual uh, goal or outcome. And by the way, if you're in the learning phase where all you're trying to do is just learn the skill of automations, how you do that is you just do it through trial and error. And so the way I learned the skill of automations is that I would just look at other agencies that I want to be like eventually, and then I would just work in their business for free. So I would just be like, hey, you want some automations? And then I build them completely for free. And they would get the automations. What I would get in exchange is the learning. And so those are the three different personas, and that's how I would tackle each of those. And by the way, something that's most recently happened is my experience with niching down. So previously, I thought it was all about automations, and so I just built as many of them as I could. But in the last 3 months or so, I've really started to prioritize niching down, because what I've noticed with niched clients is that you can literally just copy and paste the work from one client onto the next client, and that's really it. Like the think of like how complex people try to make the copywriting automations and all of that stuff. It's as simple as literally copying from one client and then putting it onto another client. That's the type of stuff that I'm talking about. And so, Christian, I'll take it back to you, and then you can maybe guide me in the direction that you want to go.
I have no direction, and I never do. But I would say like, okay, cool. A thing we can certainly talk about is to your point. Don't automate until there's a use case, right? So again, if you just like if you're like, oh my God, I want to do this, and we should automate this, and it's not something you're currently doing and spending lots of time on it, you're gonna fail. It's gonna be exploratory. That it's just gonna be terrible. I've done it because
Exactly.
I'm like, I want to automate this thing, and it's never been done before. And it's like well, that's what like software developers do, right? It's like
Yeah.
and it's a really long process, right? So what you need to do is look at the things that you're spending the most time on and start to reverse engineer those. And so
Exactly. And
for
I
the
can maybe
sake,
go over like three stages of automations that I think through. Like the first one is like the foundation. So if you're running like a lead generation agency, like the foundation is you need to have a positive reply automation that notifies you that a new positive reply has just come through. And then uh, you need to have that, right? You need to also have an automation where if the lead category changes, you notify the client that's associated with that automation. So these are like the foundation automations. If you're running a lead gen agency, you should have those. And so, yes, go automate those. But a step above that is all of the administrative automations. So these are the automations that have to be done, but they can be automated 100%. And so, an example of an administrative automation is like the warm-up settings automation. So when you import new accounts, setting up all of the warm-up settings, the signatures associated with that, the general settings associated with that, the client associated with all of those inboxes. When you start getting 1,000 inboxes, 2,000 inboxes into your accounts, and you're adding a bunch of them from different sources, like this becomes a hassle, right? And so having an automation that does that is great. Another example of an administrative automation is deleting leads from SmartLead. So this is something that costs hundreds and hundreds of dollars, especially the more clients you get, the more things you get. And so something like that can be automated 100%, and it's actually super super simple to do. And so you should probably have that automated. Now, the things where I try to tell people that you probably don't need to automate this is things like the domain and inbox setup. That's probably something you don't need to automate, and I'll explain why. The inbox management, the copywriting. And so going to the domain and inbox setup, you can certainly do that. You can automate it, and I had automations for that. But the reason I stopped it is because there's so many alternatives that are so much easier. There's like resellers, there's Hypertide, there's MailReef, there's SmartLead now, and so there's so many places that you can get your inboxes and domains set up that you don't need to build internal automations. Inbox management. This is something that's actually quite complex to do. I tried to automate it, and then I was like, why am I doing this? And so, what I would recommend if you're in that situation is probably just use a tool like RevReply. I think
I
I
did
think
not
they're
pay him
great.
to say that.
No, definitely, like definitely not. I think they're great. Like just use Rev Reply if you're struggling with inbox management. However, you can also just look at your business model. It's like, is my business model limited by this fact? Because maybe you're trying to deliver certain types of leads, but you can just go a step before that where you just deliver positive replies, and therefore you don't need to set up inbox management automations. And
Yeah.
so a business model can switch that. Copywriting, I actually don't even have any copywriting automations at the current moment, because I've realized that niching down is a way better alternative to any copywriting automations. So what I do is I onboard a client, I've got 3 copywriting tasks, and then I look at another client, I copy paste everything from that client, and then I go to the other client and I change some variables, and then I have a campaign. Boom. Just like that. And if I need to create brand new ideas, it's okay if it takes me 5 hours, 10 hours to create the clay tables, the things like that, because there's a compounding effect that's happening. When I create it for one client, I can use it for another client. So
Yeah.
that's what I would say with those 3. So copywriting, domain and inbox setup, and inbox management. These are things that if you're struggling with them, it's probably not an automation issue and it's a structural issue.
Yeah. I mean, I'll speak to Rev Reply. Look, like it was born to your point off of something that we did over and over and over, right? And we're like, okay, we can automate this. It's taken us a year and a half of like, we have 10 devs on our team to get this to not be totally like, totally crazy buggy, right?
Exactly.
Because there's so many exceptions and there's so many different things. So everyone's like, oh yeah, like, oh, I'm just gonna automate this, and then they all come back to us, right? Like, and then there's people that have spent thousands of dollars for this one-time automation. It's like that doesn't handle exception handling. It breaks when as soon as something changes, you're gonna mess it up. Like that's why this stuff is actually so difficult. But to your point, yeah, if you can find that like an easier alternatives, sometimes automating everything isn't the way to go, and focusing
Yeah,
on like what do I need the most. So
exactly.
this is going to be going to be continue to come up. I'm sure Arnold is going to keep dropping this. Um, Pierre's saying something about cannibalism. I have no idea what that means.
Cannibalism.
Yeah. So let's jump into yeah. So can you show us the automation that you feel every agency owner should be using, building? What's the best tool for automation, B2B lead generation in industry like fintechs? I'll just drop these on here.
Yeah.
But let's
So
jump into some of the sauce.
so let's go into my automation. So I currently have like 39 active automations, and I split them into SOPs, administrative. You'll notice that my administrative like automations are by far the largest portion, right?
Yep.
And then we've got some miscellaneous stuff. And so like automatically responding to out of office. It's something that you just get leads from that completely for free, and it's automated. It's great.
What do you do?
Um,
Wait, tell me more about responding to out of office.
yeah, I can
Oh, you
show you
mean like
that.
restarting the responses after they come
No,
back,
no, no. When
or?
a lead is categorized as out of office, we will actually go into Clay. I'll show you guys what the Clay table does. So this is my Clay. Also, side note, be organized. Like I have all of my things in like perfectly organized in client folders, and I've seen some of you guys' Clay tables, and I'm like, whoa, how do you even know where anything is? So you like organization also saves a lot of time. And so this is what the out of office thing does. It probably gets me like an extra 10 to 20% of leads. So an out of office email lead will come. It's basically like, hey there, I'm currently out of office, my brother, da da da, whatever the reason is. And then we basically use ChatGPT to find the other person. So when they say like you should contact, there's Frank, right? And this is the other person's email. So Joel with this email. And then I basically just say, hey, Joel, noticed Matt is unavailable. Can you help with this? And then I get a bunch of leads from that. And so this is an example of something you can automate, something that I've given away for free, by the way, that you can also just like implement, get a bunch of leads for free.
Oh,
Um,
that's a banger. I like that one. We're not doing that.
the other one is like delete leads. So this one is using the undocumented APIs from SmartLead, and so it basically just on a recurring basis, it goes in, gets all of the campaigns, the ones that are 30 days later. We basically just delete the leads that have not replied. And so this is how simple it is. But how much does this automation save me? Hundreds and hundreds of dollars every month. From on a lifetime perspective, thousands of dollars. And so this is how simple some of these automations can be. Some of the more complex ones are something like this, where we're automating the onboarding process and making sure that the clay folders are set up for the client, making sure that we're deleting the clients from the newsletters, making sure that we're setting up engagement folders, all of these things. But an automation like this, you probably should not, like, if you see this automation right now, the action that you should do is not build this automation. What you need to do is actually go back to looking at your business and probably focus on building your SOPs, because when you have clear SOPs, like clear processes that are clearly outlined, then all you need to do with these types of automations is literally just copy your existing workflows. And so the mistake you'll make is trying to build an onboarding automation when you have no onboarding process.
Yeah. I see a few things are out of not in perfect alignment here. Just FYI, I'd hate to.
Oh.
I don't want to send you into an OCD tailspin or anything. No, I'm just messing with you. You're like, God damn it, it wasn't perfectly straight. Um,
Oh, by the way, let me address the question on um, are these automations just focused on outbound email, or could they work across multiple channels like LinkedIn, cold calling? So I'm just focusing on cold outreach. And by the way, I've been doing this for a year and a half, and I still consider myself a noob on cold email. And so I feel like this is one of those things where it also comes into niching down, right? If you're doing LinkedIn and cold calling and cold email, like that's so much operational complexity that you could probably charge the same exact amount and just do one of those. And so for me, it's all about cold email. One other thing that I wanted to address was like, what does my ClickUp dashboard look like? I actually do have one, but I don't use it at all. Like at all, like rarely. The thing that I use the most is this extension, which you can replicate in a ClickUp dashboard or any other type of dashboard. And what it basically tells me is how many tasks I have across the org, and that's really it. It's just telling me like, hey, you have zero HubSpot tasks, you have zero unscheduled deals. If we go into your Smart Lead account, you have zero warm ups to do, and basically just helping me know everything that I need to do with regards to a task basis. And so, if you're wondering about like what type of dashboard should I create, a very simple dashboard that just gives you a number, which is basically like, this is how many tasks I have in this tool for this purpose, and that's how I would create a dashboard.
so you've deprecated that crazy ass dashboard you used to use?
Yep. I
Wow.
mean, I still have it. I don't use it though. I just use this. I just use this.
Arnold's crying right now.
No, no, but that's the thing. It's like, because everyone wants to build these complicated automations, and like, look at this. I have 80 archived automations, meaning I created 80 automations that I thought were pretty awesome, and I just realized they are pointless. They don't make a difference. I don't use them. And so like, you need to get comfortable with deleting processes that are not great. And so like that dashboard, it was awesome. It was showing me a lot of cool things, but then I was like, you know what? I honestly just need to know how many list building tasks I have to do. And then that's it. And so that's the perspective.
So I think there's a couple things people want to spend a little bit of time on, trying to keep up in the chat, but definitely there's a lot more conversation. I know you've given the out of office one away for free, but I think people are curious about it. Maybe you can show that a little bit more. I think that yeah, you guys just drop in the chat with the things that you want to see. Um, Andre dropped, what's the automation that saved you the most time? I do like the out of office one, like the details and how you actually take it from out of office to finding the person's email, putting them back into a sequence. I'm interested in that. I
Yeah. So let me
think
show you guys like a real world.
centralizing your data, KPIs, and reports for clients. I don't know if you do any of that, but those are all things people are super down to kind of jump into.
Sure. So this is an example of the out of office. So it's like we get a reply, which is basically like, hey, thank you, but I'm out. Kyle Moore at whatever. This is the person you should contact. And so this, like, you'll notice that this is 1:50 p.m. and this is 1:57 p.m. So it's like automated, and it's like just, hey Kyle, just noticed Leslie is unavailable. Can you help with this? And then they just say, can you forward me the thread? This is an information request, and so I just got a lead, and then I just say like, hey Kyle, I reached out as I came across this job, and then we have a conversation. Hey, we're not interested, but like I've gotten so many people that are actually interested, and so it's like these like small little and this type of automation is one that a lot of people don't have, and so it actually feels human
Oh,
because you're actually just
this is dude, this is going into Rev Reply for sure. Like I'm like, oh, this is
that's horrible for me. Um, but
no, it's
yeah, this
amazing, dude.
works.
This is awesome.
This is great. What was the other question? He has a way with ChatGPT to get email. Boom, 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 boom. How do you centralize chat data? Centralizing data, I just use Airtable. I also just use I use Airtable, and I use my ClickUp account. That being said, I've not used those things that often. So this is typically what I do. I have this client dashboard, um, and I just go to the smart lead folder. I just go to the smart lead folder. I look at all of the campaigns, and then I start to look at the data here. So I just look at the data in real time. I do have some automations that are able to uh, grab all of the variations and put them in a spreadsheet for me to analyze. But like, you don't need these things. Like, really, you could just use smart lead. But like, what I just showed, what I just showed looks simple in action, but most people, like 95% of you guys, don't have this. Because what I just did is I just clicked on the smart lead folder, and then it took me to all of the clients related to that, sorry, all of the campaigns related to that one specific client. Most of you guys don't even have your campaigns in folders. And so, like, you should probably start there. Put your campaigns
Ouch.
inside folders.
Ouch.
And
Just
then
firing shots at everyone in the audience.
no, but like that's what I'm thinking. Like when someone says like, what type of dashboard are you using? I would say get your campaigns and folders, and then you'll start to worry about the dashboards. Oh,
Yep.
another thing is the smart lead analytics. They're getting an upgrade, and so I'm probably, if that's good, that I'm probably gonna stick with that.
Yeah. Um, yeah, yeah, let's hope that it does get some upgrades. That would be nice. Um, let's see. So, about niching down, how do you know something worked for one client will work for the other?
That's a good question, actually. Um,
We have
how
had
do I
clients that
know?
sell the same thing and one is good and
No, no,
one
no, no.
sucks.
They're usually like, I have a client right now that's selling to ecom, another one that's selling to ecom, but they have completely different offers. Usually it's just taking one component from one client and then putting it onto the next client, which is basically like taking a call to action and then putting it on another client. Another example is like these clay tables, and so I don't want to show exact client stuff, but like the clay
Sure.
tables that I build for one client, an example of something that I do is I do name calling. And so like name calling is like I name call another coworker in the same company. And so an example of that one, it worked for another client, and so I just copied the clay table that did that type of campaign onto the other client. I changed the messaging, but the core structure of the message was the same. So I was still name calling, I was still doing things, but the middle section changed with the offer.
Yep. Do you have any systems around automations around content creation? Maybe use AI to generate ideas and autopilot or write posts, or would you stay away from automating creative tasks like that?
Uh no, no, it is worth creating, but it's worth creating in the sense of project management. And so I'll show you like what I've got. I just built this yesterday, which is like content creation. But it's basically just a title, description, a post date, and then you don't even automate it. It's just like taking it from one step to the other. But like having a process where you're just following up on your builds, like, and I just built this, so this is brand new. But when I'm thinking about like what am I gonna automate in this process? Probably not much. Um, maybe we can have like an AI rewrite my description to make it a little bit better. We can have the AI rewrite the title to make it more clickbaity. I can have it analyze the thumbnail. But this is all it looks like. You just put a task through a bunch of statuses, and then you just post it. And by the way, this is how every single one of my tasks look.
What happens if you delete the do not delete folder?
Uh, it goes into the trash. It goes into the
Everything
trash.
blows up, dude. Everything blows up.
Yeah.
Um, how do you automate name calling and who you name call to make it effective? Oh, you gave away a little sauce. Now people are they're unraveling the sweater. They're figuring it out.
This is how I do it. And this is actually going to be great for you guys to see. Um,
We used to do that a long time ago as effective, right? Like, hey, I saw you've got this person on your, or this person's been on your team for a long time. We can help you find people more like this or whatever, but interested in what you're doing.
yeah. So like this is let's look at one of these campaigns I just created. Sure, let's just look at this. Like, so this is a clay table. So I have a master campaign table, and so what a master campaign table is, it's a table that I just copy and paste for every single client. And so this is how all of my tables look. And something that you can do with clay, in case you're unaware, is you can use templates. And so if we were to say other person, for example, other contact, we have a template. Do they change their thing so often?
Every 2 days.
Like,
Dude.
is
Good
it
luck.
templates here? I need
You
to do
click on
click
created by
on.
you.
Yeah, they totally
Hey,
changed the
so
thing.
wait there that on the left, created by you,
Created by you.
right? Wouldn't it be
Yeah,
one of
we'll
yeah.
do this. Sure. So this is how you find another contact. Actually, I'll just put random stuff because I don't think it really matters. Save, don't run. Basically, you build a list. So when you import a list, so when you import the list, you want to import a list with two contacts in one company. And so, like, you could go on Apollo, find two marketing people in the same company, right? And then when you import that, what you're going to do is you're going to use a lookup multiple rows in the same table. So just look up in the same table. It's going to find two people, and then you're going to use filter list of objects to filter out the person that's not on the same row. So like if we've got one row with Noel, another row with Christian, on the Noel row we're going to find Christian, on the Christian row we're going to find Noel. And then you basically just get the full name from that. And then at that point, you could basically send an email to Christian talking about Noel and Noel talking about Christian. But that process that I just showed you guys, like how I want to show you guys like how I get these, because these templates also save time. Like this process of setting up the lookup and the filter list and the full name, that takes so much time. And so as you're building your clay tables, one thing you can do is you could just click on a section that you created and then just save it as a template. So
Mm.
build your craziest clay things. If they may take you 5 hours, 10 hours, however long they take you, but then just save them as templates so that you can use it across all clients. And that's also one of the benefits of niching down, because now it actually makes a lot of sense to use it across clients.
Yep. Um. Oh, when is the course coming?
It's not gonna come, not for a very long time.
You're crazy. You should. Let's see.
What's the automation that I've used that saved me the most time? Probably the onboarding automation.
Yep.
This one,
But
like,
you can only build that if you've done it 20 times.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
literally, if you haven't done this 20 times, don't do it. Otherwise, you're just going to
Actually,
be
hold on a second. I've got one that saved me a lot of time. It's this positive reply one. So like, if you guys don't have a positive reply automation, this one has saved me a lot of time.
So,
And
coming to the end of time for me, I have a hard stop. I can, if you guys want, if you want to answer more questions or hang out, you can. Up to you. But other than that, man, thank you so much for coming on. Obviously, I think people can always ping you on LinkedIn, on WhatsApp, and try and get more information. What's your ideal client right now?
um, let me show you this over here. so that you guys can also probably set this up. This is something that I have. So I have an ICP page, and this basically just helps me identify, clearly define who I serve. And what this helps me also do is get leads from content. And so if you say like I want to work with solar companies only, but you post content, you're gonna get way more clients that are not solar. What you want to do is create some sort of system to just have like people you're going to weed out and people you're going to take, even though they may not be perfectly ideal. And so my ideal client is usually like a marketing advertising agency, but there's a lot more criteria underneath that.
Sweet man. Thank you so much for your time. Of course, everyone loves having you on, dude. Like, so much support and love in here. Thanks for everything, as always. If anyone has any questions, feel free to hit you up on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Absolutely. Have a good day,
Cool.
guys. Thank
Thanks,
you very much
y'all.
for having me, Christian.
Yeah. Later.
Awesome. Bye, guys.
Cool. Cheers.